How are we doing, everybody? Crump back here again today. We are in the dog days of summer. E3 just ended actually about a week ago. I know I haven't covered anything on the channel. You might be wondering, hey, Crump, what's going on, man? Where's all the E3 info? Well, I kind of sat back this E3, watched everything from afar, gathered, I got a lot of information on a lot of different games. Instead of trying to cover everything, I was kind of just laying back, trying to catch all the information I can, and I think I thoroughly enjoyed E3 a lot more doing it that way than trying to update everybody, on what's happening in E3, because you know what? That's what all the big outlets are for. That's what IGN, GameSpot, that's what everybody else is for. So I decided to do this quick E3 recap video and leave my E3 coverage to that. Let you know what I am really excited to see from E3 and stuff I'm not so excited to see. Now, I didn't actually watch EA play live because I knew there was going to be a lot of sports games, a lot of stuff I didn't care about, a lot of dancing, much like Ubisoft does, a lot of showmanship and stuff that frankly, I don't give a fuck about. EA did show a couple of things that I'm into, most notably Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2. I think Titanfall 2 is looking a lot better than Battlefield 1 at the moment. I'm a huge fan of Battlefield. I love the old Battlefield games. I love how big of an epic scale all Battlefield games kind of are. I played a lot of older Battlefield games. Played a lot of Battlefield 4. I really liked Battlefield 4. I think the game felt really tight and it felt really good overall. But EA is kicking it back to the old school, kind of say, with World War II setting in Battlefield 1. I did watch a lot of, streamers and people in the community playing Battlefield 1. I didn't play it, obviously, because I wasn't there. I think there's finally been enough time where there's not this huge saturation of World War II games anymore, and somebody like EA can go back to the World War II setting and not have it feel played out and feel like, oh, here we go again. I'm really actually interested in Battlefield 1. I do want to play it. I'm probably going to play it. Next up, though, from EA, which I'm super excited about. I'm more excited than Battlefield 1, I think. Titanfall 2. Most notably, we're finally getting a single-player mode. From what we saw from the from what we saw from the single-player trailer, it looks more like a generic single-player mode that they kind of slapped on a multiplayer game that they, is pretty commonplace in, this generation of gaming. That said, I still do want to play the single player to see if it's any good. The multiplayer end is looking very good. I've seen some Driftor gameplay. I've seen a couple gameplay from other YouTubers again, and they said that Respawn, who are the old Infinity Ward devs, they said that Respawn has a lot of changes that are due to the community feedback, so they are listening a lot to the community in respects of gameplay-wise. The characters are a lot less floaty in this game, one notable thing. They're trying to incentivize using the mechs more. Now you have this weird grappling gun thing too. It's very Spider-Man-esque, if you will. It's you can grab onto walls or even the mechs and then propel yourself forward, or you can even attach onto an enemy and pull them forward and kick them out. It's kind of like what Activision's been trying to do with the newer Call of Duties, but on a larger scale, and I really hope that there's a lot more content in this one. That's one thing Titanfall 1 was really lacking, was content. There was 7 guns or something like that in the game, very limited, no single player, no weapon skins, nothing you would find in a modern day shooter, even though it was a pretty large game in general. The last thing that did catch my eye with EA was Mass Effect Andromeda. They kind of showed us behind the scenes how developers like to do, the character artist drawing the character into the game and drawing these beautiful environments and then having them just spring to life in the actual trailer. It looks pretty cool. They didn't really give us any information on it, but hopefully Andromeda is going to be good. I really have no doubt. I don't know how they could screw it up that badly. Other than that, EA had nothing to show. I'm going to move on to the next conference, which was Bethesda. So Bethesda's main game that they were showing off was Dishonored 2, which obviously is a sequel to Dishonored. It's looking very, very good. There's definitely a lot of things you can do in Dishonored, but I'm hoping that with all this stuff, I like the different time elements too, where you can go forward into the future and then backward into the past, which is pretty cool. Time elements in games are always usually pretty cool. The one thing I hope they get down is the controls, though. I wasn't huge on the controls in Dishonored. I know the majority of people had no problem with it, but for me, Dishonored. I'd like to see better controls in Dishonored 2. Other than that, Bethesda really didn't have that many games, but they did have the quality in their games. I think Bethesda by far had the strongest lineup, even though it wasn't the most extensive. They had Quake, they had Dishonored, they had the Skyrim remake, they even had Fallout 4 there for some DLC. They also had Fallout Shelter, which I play on mobile. I know a lot of people don't even care about this. That is one side note that I'm actually excited for, is Fallout. Fallout Shelter is getting an update with missions, new characters, and a bunch of other stuff, so I'm really looking forward to that. I play that on my downtime a lot. There is going to be a Skyrim retexture. It's going to be updated for the newer systems. Again, the retexture looks good. It doesn't look great. I kind of wish they did more to get me excited about it. And then for all you old school gamers out there, Quake is coming back, hopefully in a big way. They make it sound like this Quake is out of this world. They didn't show us anything. That's the thing about it. Alrighty, moving on to Microsoft, who is next up. They didn't really have a lot on the line, I guess. I wasn't expecting much from Microsoft. I did watch this one live, and it was very showy. They did show a lot of games though, but it seems like Microsoft does the same type of show or the same show year after year after year. The first thing that they announced that is worth noting is the Xbox One Slim. I find it funny that they opened the press conference with a new console, and then they closed the press conference with another new console. They're trying to make like this family of systems, like a low-end smartphone, and then a medium-end smartphone, and then your top-end smartphone. I think they're kind of going for that effect. It is retailing for $300 or $299.99. I like the white. I like how much smaller it is, even though their pictures lie to us a little bit and show that it looks smaller compared to the original Xbox than it really is, but whatever. Microsoft is known to do that. The other cool thing about it is the customizable controller, which I can kind of dig because I love customization, and it's kind of like what Scuf has been doing with their controllers. You can pretty much customize your thumbsticks and your buttons and yada yada yada, much like the Xbox One Elite controller. I think they're definitely doing very well in that department of customization and really making your controller your own, which is very cool. Next game everyone knows I'm super excited for, Gears of War 4. It's looking good. It's looking like what I would expect it to look like. It's looking a lot like Gears of War 3.5, if I'm being completely honest. It looks good. It just looks a lot like Gears of War 3 in gameplay mechanics and fidelity, the graphics and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, because Gears of War 3 looks really, really good for an Xbox 360 game, and this engine that they're using is so powerful, the Unreal Engine, that it's just going to be a higher fidelity and it's going to look all that much better, probably more characters on screen, stuff like that. Then they had a bunch of other games where they're doing this cross-play with Windows 10 and Xbox, which I think is pretty cool too. I just actually built this gaming PC back here, so it'll be really cool to integrate my Xbox Live experience with my PC gaming experience and bring it together, which has never been done before, so that would be pretty cool too. Next up, a game I am excited for too, I want to touch on, is Forza Horizon 3. It's kind of more of an arcadey version of Forza Motorsports, the main line in the series, and then you have this one that branches off. It's Forza Horizon. It's a very good game. It's very arcadey. I like both. I have more fun with Forza Horizon than I do Forza Motorsports. You really got to be in the mode for Forza Motorsports, and you can't fuck up, or you're not gonna have a fun time racing. There's one more game that really got my attention from Microsoft. It wasn't Halo Wars 2, because I don't care about that game. It was Scalebound, actually. Scalebound looks very good. It's a dragon versus dragon kind of game. You're kind of this dragon hunter. It reminds me a lot of Monster Hunter, if I want to be completely serious right now. It's got those huge epic dragons. There's the fights in it look really large scale as well. Sorry, I can't talk right now. But that's pretty much all Microsoft showed off that had me excited. All in all, the press conference was very good. It was very strong, and they showed more games than I thought. They still had Minecraft in there, and they had all that other Xbox Live editions and stuff like that. But overall, pretty excited for what Microsoft has to offer. Alright, last up we had the Sony press conference with the PS4 and the PSVR and all of, what's happening in Sony realm. I'll start off, watching it, the press conference was awesome. It was jaw-dropping. There was so much stuff, and there was so much content, and so much interesting stuff with the VR in the new games, the new game from Hideo Kojima, the new Final Fantasy, Crash remake, all the yada yada yada. I'll get to those. But there was a lot of fluff, but then I went back and I started looking like, oh, when am I going to be able to play these games and stuff? And it was, you dig deeper into it and you realize it's typical Sony fashion. There's a lot of stuff, but not really much substance. The only stuff that's really coming out this year is The Last Guardian, which I'm super excited for. Let me touch on that real quick. The Last Guardian looks really, really good. I don't want to touch too much on it because obviously we've seen it for 4 or 5 years now or whatever, but it does look good. It's got like a weird art style to it that I'm really digging. I think it looks awesome, and hopefully the gameplay is on par with the story and all the environment elements and stuff like that. But anyway, Last Guardian comes out in October. PSVR, I think, is coming out this holiday. That's going to be PlayStation's big rush, is PSVR, and they're apparently going to have 50 games available for it by the time it comes out. Yada, yada, yada. That's the first thing I'm going to touch on here. PSVR looks very cool. I think it's a sleek-looking unit, I guess it's called. Little pricey at $400, but it's the way you look at it. Little pricey at $400 as a unit. But if you look at the other headsets and VR headsets around the gaming market, I guess, it's pretty cheap. $600 for the Oculus. I think the HTC Vive is up there, $600-700. So this is a pretty competitively priced unit. That said, it still costs as much as the PS4 does itself, which is a pretty big investment, I think. What I've seen so far with the VR, though, I'm not really sold. I think VR is the future, but it's just not there yet. I hope it's the future because VR looks very good. The thing about it is the games really look like cash-ins. The only one I really think that uses VR well is Resident Evil 7. I think the Final Fantasy one, there's a new IP or something. They all look like cash-ins pretty much. There's no substance to it, really, not really well fleshed out. I think the Final Fantasy one, honestly, it was a joke. It was not worth anyone's time to play. Next I'm excited for, huge God of War fan. Really love the mindless hack and slashing of God of War. It keeps getting bigger and bigger with the hacking and the slashing. God of War 3 was really good. That was the last one that I played, actually. The boss fights in God of War 3 were just absolutely jaw-dropping. It was so much fun. It's really a mindless hack and slash. This new one, however, looks like it's trying to add some story elements. Kratos, if that's Kratos, we have no idea yet. If that's Kratos, he has a kid now. He's it's a third-person adventure-ish looking game. It's definitely not fixed camera angles. Definitely still that huge, epic, you know, fighting and stuff like that. Again, Resident Evil 7 hopefully is going to take what Resident Evil 6 did and completely wipe that out and start over from scratch the way Resident Evil should be. It is going to be a first-person game, but it's definitely looking like it was like PT vibe, like that PT demo a few months back. Hopefully they nail Resident Evil 7. I long for the days of Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. That game was amazing. They need to take Resident Evil back to that type of atmosphere and storytelling and just scale. The series has the potential. I know I'm stuttering a lot. The series has the potential. They just need to nail it. A few more things from Sony was the Crash Bandicoot. Again, we heard that it was coming, but we have no idea when, and we didn't even see gameplay of it. Crash Bandicoot is getting a reboot, which I'm super excited about because that game was a lot of fun back when it came out. Death Stranding, however you say it. We got Norman Reedus walking around naked with a baby, a crazy off-the-wall Hideo Kojima game. We have no idea. Apparently the game doesn't even have an engine yet. It's not in development. It's still in the conceptual phase, so if we can even call that a game yet, I'm not sure. Again, a lot of these games are just saying, hey, we're making this game, and then there's nothing. We don't know when we're going to see it. It could be next year. We're probably going to see the majority of these games all at E3 again next year with an update, but who knows? And then I'll touch on Nintendo again real quick. I think game of the show, obviously for me, was Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think it's looking absolutely amazing, and it's what Zelda needed to be for a long time now. Nintendo, you know what, said we're not going to do the press conference. We're going to hold our cards close to our chest right now because we're working on the NX. We're hopefully working on launch titles for the NX. The amazing Zelda game. There's just so much. I don't really know what else to say about it other than just go. If you're not a Zelda fan, if you are a Zelda fan, there's RPG elements in it now. There's just so much. There's open world. It's just everything you wanted in an open world Zelda game. Go and check it out if you want. I'm not going to stand too much on it because the social media has obviously been blowing up with Zelda everywhere. People are loving it. People are going crazy for it. But that's what Nintendo had to show, and I think they did good. They definitely had game of the show, even if they decided to completely skip out what I think they skipped out on E3. But, you know, that's what it is. Thank you again, guys, for watching this E3 recap. Let's talk, blah, blah, blah. Listen to me rant about stuff. Hopefully, you guys have the same opinions as me. If not, let me know down below. And while you're down there, go ahead and like the video. I do have the subscribe button if you want to go ahead and subscribe. We almost hit that 300 mark, so I'm really pulling for that right now, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching until the end. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Take it easy, guys.